Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending from where you're joining us. This is Magda, and welcome to another Pack Help Talk. If you're here for the first time, let me remind you shortly what are Pack Help Talks. Those are short meetings where we invite founders, experts to chat about all things e-commerce, sustainability, packaging, and design. And today we're meeting to discuss a very special topic that is very close to heart of our community because we work with a lot of fashion brands, and obviously these days we all strive to be more and more sustainable. But what does it mean if you're a fashion brand? If you started without sustainability in mind, can you turn, or should you create a brand with sustainability in mind all the way? Those are some of the questions I'll be asking our today's guest, Marta. I will invite Marta now to a stream and ask her to say hi and introduce herself a little bit. Hi, Marta.
Hello, how are you, Magda?
I'm good. Thank you so much for agreeing to chat with me. I hope we'll have a great conversation. And for those of you who are watching us now online, feel free to drop us any questions, any comments, disagree with us. We're happy to have a discussion between more of us, not just the two of us. The more the merrier, they say. So, Marta, please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came up with an idea of SAYE. Can you give us a little bit of background how it all started?
Okay, so I'm Marta Llaquet. I'm co-founder and CEO of SAYE, which is a Barcelona sneakers brand. And the project started in March 2018 through a Kickstarter campaign. Back then, our name was Wado, was not SAYE, but we had to change the name due to a trademark problem in January 2020. So the project started through this crowdfunding campaign, and thanks to this first month, we managed to produce our first 5,000 sneakers, thanks to the funding from all these backers that backed our project, and that's how it started. And after that, we moved the project to another crowdfunding platform, which is Indiegogo, until January 2020, and then we finally shut down crowdfunding platforms, and we started our own e-commerce, which is where we sell our 70% of our sales come currently from our e-commerce. The other 30% comes from retailers around the world, like shoe stores or fashion stores that buy our sneakers.
All right, that's quite a nice story. But I have to, ask you a few questions about your beginnings because you mentioned you started as a crowdfunding, and I actually read somewhere that you were the most funded project in fashion in Spain. Can
Yeah.
you give us a little bit of behind the scenes? Why did you decide first of all to go with crowdfunding, and why do you think your project was so successful?
We decided to go on a crowdfunding platform because when we started the project, like when we started thinking of launching this sneakers e-commerce, the three founders, like we didn't have resources to make the first production. And then we said, let's try this Kickstarter platform so we can get this funding from the backers in order to make the first production of sneakers, and it was like a huge success. As you mentioned, we were like the first Spanish fashion company like ever funded in Kickstarter history. And I think that the key of our success is that we managed to launch a product which really follows the fashion trends, And apart from that, it offers this sustainable extra bonus. So back then, and when we were thinking of launching these sneakers, we realized that the sustainable fashion that existed back then in 2017 was or very expensive, or it didn't really follow like fashion trends. So their target were like really eco-friendly people that were sacrificing part of the trendy in order to get this sustainable fashion. So we thought that it was a good idea to kind of expand this target and try to tackle this new kind of people, which is not which don't want to sacrifice the like fashion for having a sustainable product. So I think that the one of the keys, the balance that we managed to get, which is really follow real fashion trends, and it's a sustainable product, and it's not overpriced.
All right. So in your case, sustainability was with your brand from the very, very beginning, the idea of having sustainable products, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and from the beginning, yeah.
All right. So, but I think that the more brands we have and the more we talk about sustainability, it somehow becomes a kind of a buzzword. I mean, I think these days people kind of overuse the word sustainable. So I'm wondering what's your definition, how SAYE defines, sustainability and sustainable products.
Yeah. So in our case, like during the first year, we communicate a lot the word sustainable, right? And we realized that that wasn't like the right approach, because there's always people that think that you could you could even be more sustainable. So like this, the most sustainable way of of buying products is don't buy it. Like we should be all naked. That's the truth. So then we changed our communication, and instead of communicating that we were like that we consider ourselves a sustainable brand, we just stay to the facts. So the fact that we're producing our sneakers like here in Portugal, that we're using these vegan and bio-based materials, organic and recycled materials. Yeah, so basically we were and that we are planting 2 trees for each sale that we're selling for each sneaker. Yeah, so basically we are saying the facts, and then people get to evaluate like if we are sustainable or not. That's what we did. We changed the approach. So basically for us, sustainability is trying to give back to the planet and trying to produce like yeah, in a more sustainable way, or the most easy way, so that you don't yeah, so you can give back to the planet and like compensate the production that you're doing.
All right. So yeah, I think that's a fair approach because you lay out all the facts about your brands, and then you give people a power to decide whether, that's something they want to commit to and they believe in. So I think that's a very fair approach. That's also something we're trying to do at Packhub, because we realized, just saying we're sustainable probably is not the best way, because that the term is just very complex. You already mentioned a few of things that you're doing in terms of like how you produce the products. What are some of your brand promises, or what are the goals that you have in front of you when it comes to sustainability?
So basically, one of our main objectives was being able to launch vegan sneakers that didn't contain plastic. Okay, because there are some brands that they launch vegan products, and okay, they're not using animal like material or animal leather, but instead they're using plastic materials, which comes from petroleum. So that's not sustainable either. So in our case, at the beginning, we were using animal leather because we were not able to produce vegan products that didn't contain plastic. And after 2 years of research and development, we managed to launch these vegan bio-based sneakers that don't contain plastic, and they are made from corn, rice, bamboo, and cactus, mango, and all these kind of materials. So for us, like the main objective was to get to launch this kind of vegan bio-based sneaker. So that's our core product is this model, the Modelo 89 sneaker. And yeah, so that was our main goal, was to reach like this product.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've actually seen the newest collection. And so, are there any new goals or materials or like the ways of producing that you're now researching or experimenting with? Something, you want to share or can share with us?
Yeah, we're about to launch our second sneaker made from cactus, because we already have one sneaker made from cactus. It's vegan bio based 100%, and we're using cactus that are getting produced in Mexico. They have like a lot of offer from like huge cactus offering there. And the good thing about cactus is that they use very little water resources, because it's a very dry plant. So we're using this plant in order to get the material and put it in our sneakers. And then we also have a sneaker made from mango, which actually is really really interesting, because we're collaborating with some guys from Rotterdam. They are taking the mangoes that aesthetically cannot be sold through supermarkets because they're not beautiful. So they're taking them, they're smashing them and transforming it into a mango leather, which we are using in our sneakers. So these are two like very innovative sneakers that right now we are selling in SAYE. And the next launch, and this I'm like doing a bit of spoiler here, we're gonna launch a sneaker made from apple, recycled apples. That same story as with mangoes, apples that they can't be sold through supermarkets because they don't aesthetically they don't belong to this kind of selling challenge. So we're using them in order to create parts of our sneakers. So yeah.
Wow, that is really amazing. But it also, like for me, like my experience with fashion is I tried to sew once a skirt and a shirt, and it was very painful and long and yeah, frustrating process for me. So I'm wondering how you can get into the manufacturing process. Where do you even start? If you could walk us through, the process of like establishing the sustainable production a little bit for someone who, let's say, I have an idea for a product and I want it to be sustainable. Like, what do I do? How do I set up even, the whole manufacturing process?
It's really really complex. In our case, like right now we have four people in the product department, and we're like focusing a lot in R&D, because we think that this kind of products like apple, cactus, mango products are really innovative and strategic for the company, in order like to get SAYE like be more visible around the world, and make us notice. And the production process is really complex. Like if you really wanna do the things like the way we're doing them, you have to make a lot of research around the world, like looking for concrete suppliers that can work with this concrete material. You have to be like the whole time discovering and exploring new suppliers. And at the end, we have like many suppliers around the world. They send the materials to our factories in Portugal, and then in Portugal they do like all the production process with the materials that come from around the world. Yeah, like this kind of production process, like the sustainable one, it's more difficult and more slow than the regular one. Like many companies, like they produce with like traditional materials which are not sustainable, which are made from plastic or like regular leather, etc. And this kind of production is like really easier and faster than the one that we are using. But I mean, these are the rules of the sustainable fashion industry. And since it's like our main value, like SAYE's main value, I mean, that's the way that things have to be done in our case. And I think that also customers like value a lot, like because sometimes the production process is longer than the expected, and but that's normal because we're using this kind of materials which take longer to be produced. And maybe sometimes the performance of these innovative materials has not been tested like for decades as other traditional materials, and sometimes like yeah, it sometimes gets risky to get to launch these materials. But we're like the whole time we're trying to get this balance between innovative materials and performance of these materials in order to get to launch quality sneakers.
All right, that sounds like a lot of work, a lot of research, and a lot of trial and error, I guess, because you need to try things and test them.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, whoever is watching us, you just have to do your research and try things if you are about to launch your sustainable brand. Now, there is one more thing that I'm a bit curious about because we already touched upon the fact that sustainability is kind of very complex and sometimes it gets vague as a term. So I'm wondering if there are any like certifications or like production standards that you use in your production process in order to ensure certain quality. So my question is whether you use any of this and what kind of value do they bring to the whole process?
Yeah. So in SAYE, we currently have the PETA Vegan, which is a certification that vegan companies get, like vegan products can get. And right now we're trying to achieve the B Corp, which is like the number one sustainable certification that companies can get. And it basically analyzes like everything in the company, like the production process, the offices, how if you recycle in your office, like many, also the gender distribution in the company, like many things. And we're working in order to get this certification. I think that in Spain it only had like only two companies have it, so it's really difficult to get it. But we're working in order to get this B Corp certification.
All right, fingers crossed. Yeah, we're looking into that process as well, but it's a long one. Like
Mhm.
they will basically check every like department of your company for anyone that is watching and thinking about it. Um, all right, we talked a little bit about the production process. If there are any questions from the people that are watching us about the production setup, choosing the materials or the designs, then just put them on in the chat, and I'll ask them, and hopefully Marta will answer. But I also wanted to touch upon what happens after the production, and you kind of already mentioned B Corp, which is a great opening for this, because B Corp takes into consideration also not only the product and production, but also how you run as a company. So can you tell me a little bit about what happens after production and how you take care of sustainability beyond the production
Mhm.
for SAYE?
Mhm. So, in our case, the production comes from Portugal to our warehouse, which is located in Barcelona, where we have the headquarters. And then there they prepare like all the orders. We work with many couriers, and these couriers come every day to our warehouse, and then they bring the packages like in to several other courier warehouses they have around the world. So like all the packages get distributed worldwide, like every day. Um, I don't know. Then concerning sales channels, as I mentioned before, like the majority of our orders come from our online channel, our e-commerce, like 70%, and the other 30% they come from many stores around the world, like fashion stores and shoes stores. Um, Right now, our sneakers are in more than 200 points of sales around the world. Mainly, like our first markets are Germany, US, Spain, France, Belgium, Netherlands, but we sell like worldwide.
All right. And how do you mentioned shipment. Is there anything you want to share in terms of, how to try to make your shipment more sustainable? Are there any practices that you're trying to conduct in order to be more sustainable in shipping?
Mhm. Yeah, in our case, like we substitute the plastic bags that our courier gave us for free for these resin based bags, which of course is part of the margin that we're sacrificing. But I mean, sustainable industry, like a sustainable company, like that's how things are done. I mean, we could use these plastic bags from the courier, but they wouldn't be aligned with our values, and it wouldn't be coherent with the brand. That's why, like the whole time, we're trying to improve like as many details as we can. So yeah.
All right. Okay, yeah, it looks like a lot of sacrifices, and it's hard, but once you commit, I mean, I think if you would go, the easy way, people would realize at some point, and you lose credibility as a brand. That's how I see things.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Another interesting thing, and we're slowly going to wrap up the conversation. So if anyone is watching us and you have a question in your head, just put them in the chat. And sustainability, obviously the product afterlife is also a big topic, because you already mentioned the most sustainable thing would be not to buy at all. But also there is, this whole discussion, what do you do when, a product gets broken or whatever. So are you somehow taking care currently of, an afterlife of a product? I know you're quite a young brand, but is that already in your picture and in your sustainability strategy?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a project that we have in mind. We would like to close the circle. So when the customer has used like many times their SAYE and they can't be used at all, we would like to get them back to us and repair it, or just separate the materials and try to recycle some of them. The other ones, of course, they can't be reused again. But the truth is that we don't have that much volume, that much sales volume, and costs here like reverse logistic costs are really really expensive, and like right now we don't have like positive numbers, like we're not getting the numbers in order to get this project running on. But the truth is that we've analyzed it like many times, and like right now we're not ready because our volume is not that high. But yeah, like for sure on the future we would love to do this kind of things, yeah, to like to close the circle.
Sure, and I guess one of the reasoning is also you're kind of a young brand, so there is no a big amount of people who have been using SAYE for like years, and they
Yeah.
need to keep on replacing their shoes. So yeah, kind of makes sense.
Mhm.
All right, now obviously we work with variety of businesses, many big ones, and but also a lot of small brand owners. So is there any piece of advice you would like to share with someone who's either just in the phase where you're conceptualizing your business idea, or maybe they have just started, some piece of advice for people who are at the beginning of their journey with running sustainable fashion brand?
Okay. For me, it was very important at the beginning not to lose the motivation, because when we were about to launch the Kickstarter campaign, we worked for 8 months. Um, and basically, there in that stage of the project, you're not monetizing it. Like you've yeah, like the whole time you're trying, like you're fighting with the suppliers in order to get the right prototype, and it's really like a very desperating process, because yeah, that type of work, it doesn't, like that type of job doesn't depend on you, it depends on the suppliers. And like, yeah, you're trying the whole time to get this prototype right in order to launch the Kickstarter campaign. So my piece of advice would be, first of all, not to lose the motivation, and try to yeah, like try to believe in your project and in your Kickstarter campaign. In the case of like you're launching this Kickstarter campaign, which I highly recommend. um and yeah, basically that, try not to get too desperate on that stage. And also, like, don't postpone very much the launch of the Kickstarter campaign or the crowdfunding campaign. I mean, you can launch with a prototype, you can Photoshop it, like try to be lean on that scenario, because otherwise, if you're trying to get like the perfect prototype in order to launch the video of in Kickstarter, um, that's not efficient. So just try to get like the first prototype, like very beta, super beta prototype, and launch the Kickstarter campaign as soon as you can, in order to test the product. Like, Kickstarter is a way of testing your product, and see how that your target like embraces it.
Right, better than perfect, right? That's how I like to say it. Yeah, I was, intending on the last question to be my last question, but you mentioned something that I really need to follow up on. You mentioned don't lose motivation. So I'm really curious, what motivates you as, a co-founder, a head of growth, I feel like you're the running engine of the brand. So what is your motivation?
Right now, like, yeah, I mean, back then when we were preparing the launch of Kickstarter, my motivation was to have my own company, because I already funded one before, and I sold my shares to the other partners. And so I knew that I wanted to found a company. I already knew that, so my motivation was that. And now I would say that my motivation is seeing how the team grows, because now we're 21 person in SAYE, and the good thing is that we're covering this manager's line, like intermediate line. So you see that projects like go faster than before, and everything goes much faster, and that's really motivating, because the time that before you were using to execute things, you can use it now to think more strategically, or to think where you wanna be in some years. And so you have like a whole team of people that can execute these projects. So yeah, like it's really cool after 4 years, because like 1st of March 2022, SAYE, it will be our fourth anniversary. So yeah, after 4 years, like our roles have changed a lot from the
Oh
beginning.
my God. Okay. Happy birthday. I mean, a bit, we're a week from
Thank you.
1st March, but yeah, it's everything you were saying. I think it's very inspiring, especially for people who are, at the beginning of the road and they're struggling. But I don't know, after, 30 minutes of a conversation, I could feel the good energy from you and, all that you're pouring it into a ground, which I think is amazing. So everyone go and Google SAYE in case you haven't done it earlier. They are very, very good in communication. I checked their website, checked their Instagram. I'm loving everything I'm seeing. And yeah, and I think if you want to get a sneak peek into a production process, they also have like a dedicated landing page there that kind of explains a little bit their sustainability goals and production. So go and check them out. Marta, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing a little bit about your, daily struggles and how you deal with things. Again, I think it was very, very inspiring. And yeah, thank you so much for today.
Okay, thank you, Magda. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, bye.